Hey Mark, how's it going?
Hey. Yeah, great. And you?
Oh, not too bad. Where are you at in Germany?
Yeah, I'm live in the middle of Germany.
Okay.
Do you know Hessen?
I don't. I only have
Not
a
really.
general idea of
Fra-
where like larger
Frankfurt?
cities are.
Frankfurt?
Okay.
100 kilometers north of Frankfurt.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Germany's not as big as the U.S., but I mean,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. I mean, you could takes 3 days to drive across, east to west.
Yeah, I
So,
know. Yeah, a lot of distance to cover if you want to go from north to west or south to north. Yeah.
how has your season been going? I've been seeing you here and there on the results on the IM Tracker app because I look at every race results on the weekend because just what I just do. How have you been doing?
I did. You know, challenge as well. Challenge triathlons
Uh-huh.
pledged in North America now.
No, they were, but then they split off and
Yeah,
they became
they are
Clash
both
Endurance.
now. You know, I did one half challenge race this season, and then one Ironman Frankfurt,
Uh-huh.
and then one independent long distance race last Saturday. And yeah, this one went very well. I did below 8 hours for the long distance. Yeah,
That's pretty
and
good.
yeah, perfect. This was a perfect day for me. And before the races weren't as planned. I in Frankfurt at the Ironman I punctured on the bike and had a pretty tough time on the run after that. And the race before I was after my, I think it depends a little bit on my, I had 1 week before my COVID vaccination. Do you understand? And after that, I think
You're
so.
vaccinated? Awesome.
Yes, exactly. And I think so. Afterwards, or retrospective, I can say in the 2 or 3 weeks after the vaccination, I was a little bit not so. I can't show my normal performances in training and races, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Going sub 8 hours is that's a pretty big accomplishment. There's not a whole lot of people who could say they've done that. Not
Yeah.
every pro can
Yes,
say that.
exactly. Now I 1 week after I realized it now, and yeah, really,
So I
yeah.
saw in your results for like the past 4 or 5 years that you do mostly challenge races, and I've never met anybody, or there's very few people that I like keep track of that are primarily challenge racing people. Is what's why do you do that? What's the reasoning?
Um, Mostly I think they are more friendly for pro races. I think they do more for pro athletes. I would say they in contrast to Ironman races, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ironman are
and
corporate assholes, but I mean, challenge is basically the same way to the age groupers too.
yes, exactly. This is the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
right. And but the obviously reason was I think the challenge races were from the timing, the better options, and from travel, etc. Yeah.
yeah, and I was gonna say, how is the money for challenge races?
What do you know? The prize money? Do you mean?
Yes.
It's quite the same like Ironman pro races. Yeah, but it's easier, so you don't have to buy any additional license. And in some challenge races, the race organizers organize you a hotel or a homestay or so, and you at Ironman races you can ask, but you don't get an answer.
Yeah, so there a lot of the time I never hear from Ironman if I ask them something about a race. Sometimes it takes weeks, but rarely is it a quick response. And I don't know if that's because they have like 3 people working there that are actually paid and they have to give volunteers, or who knows, but they suck. Their customer service is like worse than in the United States, the worst customer service you can get is Comcast. Ironman is a close second, you know. But yeah,
Yeah, but
I assume they don't roll, they roll
what?
out the red carpet for you.
Again, please.
I said they don't. I don't know if they have this expression in Germany, but rolling out the red carpet, giving you the best treatment, you know.
Yeah.
So I was assuming they didn't do that.
I would say it depends. I would say, but the German Ironman races are very well organized, and you can ask them questions and get fast answers, and they're pretty high standard, or and also challenge road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The original challenge race in road. They are very friendly, and I asked them if I 2 or 3 weeks before this year's race if I can get a race entry, and they sent me 1 or 2 or 3 times an entry, and I know from age group athletes who also asked, and they get a slot for this year or the option for next year. So Challenge Road himself themselves is a little bit better, but like you said, it's sometimes also in challenge pro races or normal challenge races. It depends.
Roth is a pretty famous race. Even we know it's even in the States, it would be one of the Ironmans. Well, really the only Ironman I would ever fly over to Europe for. I mean, how was your experience there? What was the race like? Did it live up to the hype that everybody makes it out to be?
What in Rod?
Yes.
I did it in 2018 and was there for 1 or 2 times as not a volunteer, spectator, and yeah, it's like you see it in movies or on TV or on YouTube. It's very famous and spectacular, and yeah, if you like, it's very and on some parts of the course, it's like in the Tour de France when they ride in the Alps or Pyrenees, that's very crowded.
Yeah. So,
so it isn't like I know. I did it as an age group. I did Ironman Kona, and I would say from the whole atmosphere and the whole organization, it's bigger, or it's like Kona Road. Yes.
How did you like Kona? I mean,
yeah, it's the dream of every triathlete. Yeah, if you do it in your first time, it's very impressive for you. The second time also, but yeah, I think in the second time it doesn't get any better. It's like the same as the first time. I think nothing can beat the first time Kona. No.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of that shock and awe of this whole the event. I mean,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
What, you don't mind me asking, how much does the flight cost to get over from Germany to Kona?
Or I think it's approximately 10 years ago, or 8 years ago. I don't know. I've booked it over a travel agency, and that was more expensive than if you can book it on your own. But I think approximately 5,000 euros for 2 weeks, or $7,000 for 2 weeks, I would say.
I guess it's really not that bad. I mean, given that it's such a far flight, and the island is not exactly cheap
and accommodation and food. Yeah, and yeah, it depends what do you want to. If you have an hotel or accommodation or a private accommodation, or if you travel with a one-stop flight or with a flight with several stops. Yeah.
So, like they always talk about it in broadcasts and stuff, how triathlon's so big in Germany, and they make it out that it's like really huge in Germany. I mean, is it as big as they say it is? Like, is it like the national sport almost?
No national sport. I wouldn't say this. I can tell you, I do triathlon since I did triathlon, or I started triathlon in 2009, and I think from 2009, the first 5 years, it was, yeah, more and more people did it, but since 2015 approximately, it goes straight through the roof. Yeah, you understand?
Yes, I
Yes,
do.
I would say that or you can see it in the Ironman races which take part in Europe or in the whole world. 10 years ago, there were, I don't know, half of them, and now they are doubled. And also the participants in the events are, yeah, like the same and more events. And I know from several guys who did in the earlier years did one Ironman a year. Now they do two or even threes, or they do two Ironmans and two 70.3s, and it's yeah, it's famous in Germany, but I will also want to say in the whole world, not only in Germany.
Actually, so according to USA Triathlon, the numbers have been declining over the past years here,
Okay.
especially with participants, and you know, they have been trying to build it back up. That's kind of why they've been kind of getting
Maybe
into better broadcasting coverage to try to build interest to it. But it has
maybe it
been on
could
the
be,
decline.
or it's a reason maybe there are more 70.3s than Ironman races, or the big brands, and fewer small races, independent races, and so there therefore aren't the declining participants or members of US triathlon. I don't know. And in Germany, it's also smaller independent races with, I don't know, 200, 250 people are straight through the roof. You can, if the registration goes online, I think after 1 week they are booked and you can't get a slot if you want. Yeah.
I hate how corporate Ironman is, but I love independent races because they're small. They're they're kind of a lot more stripped down, the experiences, but it's a lot more fun for me. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. You can make a lot of experience in these smaller races. I tell the athletes who I'm coaching, and that they should do smaller races as a preparations for the big ones or for their long-term development. It's even, yeah, it's better to have such races than only the big ones. You can't learn in training how to prepare for a big race alone, or you have to do training races too. And therefore, I think, yeah, the races near your hometown or so are the best opportunity for this.
How has coaching been going for you?
Pretty well. I think I'm lucky that I have these athletes, or the kind of athletes, but I've lost some during COVID who said, no, I have to take a break of triathlon, or I have to take a break of structured training. But otherwise, I got other athletes who started shortly before COVID started with triathlon, and now they say they want to have a structured training when the races after COVID start again. So I would say it's nearly, yeah. I would say I go. I have more athletes now than before COVID, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's definitely good.
Yes.
Man, I've got a brain injury, so sometimes I blank on a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
no problem. I have read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you? I guess really this is the last question for me, but you know, are you primarily a guy who likes to train indoors, like on a treadmill and Zwift, or are you mostly like I'm outdoors, I'm always riding, doing that stuff?
Yeah, I'm mostly outdoors. Even but in my part of Germany, we don't have a really winter, so there are, I would say, approximately a handful of days in the winter where you have snow on the roads or so. So I can train pretty much the whole time outdoors. So I do most of my rides outdoors, my race with my race bike, yeah, and my training bike, and some special rides indoor on the time trial bike, but not so much. And also my runs. Sometimes I use a treadmill for faster sessions, but mostly I do outdoor sessions on the track or in the forest or on the hills. Yes.
So do you train solo, or do you got buddies that are pros that you train as training partners?
No, I'm the only pro in my region. I would say the next one who trains or is starts as a pro is approximately 100 kilometers away. Yeah. So I do most of my sessions alone. So the harder ones, yeah. And for easy ones, I have some buddies who can on the bike. I do them with them, and the swimming is in a training squad. But yeah, I swim my program, which I get from my coach, and the others swim there. So we have only the lanes, so it isn't open for the public. So the swimming squad and as a pool isn't open for public, so you can.
So I guess the last thing I want to ask you is, in terms of racing, is it your preference to stay in Germany, or are you like, you do it? Are you okay with leaving the country?
I'm okay. I would say I'm in Europe. It doesn't matter for me. I would say if the travel expansions doesn't go too high, so I stay in Europe and don't go too much overseas. Although I for 3 years ago I did Ironman Cozumel, but this was also a cheap one to in terms of traveling. And yeah, I thought before COVID, I thought about traveling to US states, but yeah, during COVID, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
We will see how it works out for pros. It's a little bit easier with the PTO on board. You get the national declaration of interest. I think you know it, so I can travel.
Yeah.
If you want to travel to the United States, you have to be from national interest for the US, and the PTO organized it for the pros that they can travel freely, and it's a cool thing. Maybe I have to think about it for the next spring or so. Yeah.
So last thing I'm going to ask you is, because I'm an American and I don't know anything about German tax systems, but in America, pros are considered independent contractors. How does that work for pros who are Germany? Do you have to pay taxes everywhere you go in every other country, or you just pay your taxes in Germany?
Oh, I would say it's like I have to pay my taxes only in Germany. If you have prize money from other countries, it depends.
Okay.
Yes, it's I would say I had from the last race, it was in Austria, and you have signed a declaration that you don't expand. So the prize money was as high as you can have in this country without taxes. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah.
So in the U.S., independent contractors,
I have heard it from a German pro who was in the US some years ago, and who won, I think, Ironman Arizona, who was there 8th place or so, and he won $2,000 and so. And after that, they say you have to pay taxes on this amount, and he doesn't sign the declaration, so he was quite lucky that, but on the next time he has to pay. But I think they said when you come back to the US, you have to pay for it.
Yeah, in U.S. tax system, independent contractors, you have to pay taxes over anything that you make over $600 in a year. So if you got a prize money is $500, you don't got to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
Hey man, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, thank you too.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Have a